Aam Aadmi Party MLA Amanatullah Khan, arrested by the ACB in connection with the Delhi Waqf dealings, will stay in custody for another 4 days. War of words continues between the BJP and TRS over Hyderabad Liberation Day. Keeping a close watch on the Amanatullah story in Delhi, he's been sent to 4-day custody. Big development in Bihar. The CBI has moved the court against Tejasvi Yadav. They say he's been intimidating officers. They want his bail cancelled. Big victory for forces. 3 killers of non-local labourers arrested. Thank you for joining us on The Burning Question. A historic day when 8 cheetahs were brought to India from Namibia in what's been a very elaborate operation, a 10-hour flight and then a 25-hour chopper ride before they were freed into the Kuno National Park. The fastest species that went extinct in India 7 decades ago, and after efforts were made, they're back in India. But from INS Vikrant to the return of the cheetahs, every event in India is marked with politics and people trying to take credit. Today, the Congress party has tried to take credit. They couldn't resist, politicize the return of the cheetahs as well. A party that is facing extinction itself, worried about cheetahs returning or the credit war over it. Here's the story so far, and then the burning question.
At 8 a.m., traveling a distance of 8,144 kilometers, the big cats landed in Madhya Pradesh's Gwalior Air Base. Ending a wait of 70 years, the Namibian cheetahs arrived at Kuno National Park to a grand welcome and roaring dhol beats. The cheetahs were released in the national park by the Prime Minister. The growls and purrs of the magnificent beasts were so enchanting that Prime Minister could not hold himself back and captured the big cats on his lens. But even as the country marked this historic moment, Vadra Congress's politics continued. From claiming credit for the project to calling the grand return of the cheetahs a tamasha, Vadra Congress launched a scathing attack.
2010 में यूपीए सरकार के दौरान ही इस प्रोसेस को आगे बढ़ाया गया था, इस प्रोसेस को शुरू किया गया था, जिसके परिणाम आज मिले। अच्छी बात है, देश में 8 चीते आए, अच्छी बात है, मैं उसका कोई विरोध नहीं करता हूँ।
जो खुद तमाशा बन गए, उनको तमाशा ही लगेगा। जिनके 60 साल के राज में चीता लुप्त हो गया, टाइगर्स की संख्या कम हो गई हो, वाइल्ड लाइफ का क्या हाल होता था आप सबके सामने है।
But despite all efforts to run down the notable project Cheetah, India stands united in celebrating the return of the cheetahs. Can Vadra Congress now stop politicizing? Bureau report for Republic TV.
Joining us on the debate, Tuhin Sinha, spokesperson of the BJP, Karan Verma, author, political analyst, Dr. Suman C. Raman, political analyst, and Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, live in Delhi. Let's play out those pictures once, a full frame of what happened earlier in the day. Today was the Prime Minister's birthday and he decided to spend the day in Madhya Pradesh. Let's go across and play those pictures. Full frame, those are some pictures that came in earlier. And just to tell you what happened, as the door of its cage slid open, you had those pictures come in. The first of the 8 cheetahs brought to Madhya Pradesh's Kuno National Park, hesitating for a moment in those pictures before stepping out onto the grass. coming to a halt near a tree, scanning the surroundings, 8,000 kilometers away from its native Namibia, by turning the neck in every direction. Those were the pictures. Those were the pictures, the moments captured by TV cameras as the entire nation watched. Historic moment. The Prime Minister was also there while releasing those cheetahs. He also clicked pictures with his DSLR from the dais above the cage, from where the cheetahs emerged into a special quarantine enclosure. Now these cheetahs will remain here for a month and then for 4 more months. And those are some pictures, by the way, captured by the Prime Minister's cameras, reportedly. And 3 of the 8 cheetahs brought to India from Namibia as part of a project to revive the population, which went extinct in 1952. Now, those were pictures that came in. The Prime Minister also interacting with those people. He called them Cheetah Mitras, who will be taking care of these cheetahs at the Kuno National Park. Now, these were some pictures that came in. Interesting pictures. And through the day, the entire national media has been watching the return of the cheetahs after nearly 7 decades. Okay, let's go to the debate. And, it's a relevant question to ask because, Ashutosh, I'll tell you this, they call it tamasha. Basically, the Congress party calls this tamasha. And I want to ask you, the absurdity of politics over cheetahs, they're calling it tamasha. Now, was it tamasha, Ashutosh, when Nehru, for example, gifted Tokyo's Ueno Zoo baby elephant and named the elephant after Indira Gandhi?
So the tamasha here was that Modi's slogan is Eko Hum Dutyo Na Asti. He's the center of the world and the earth revolves on his axis. That's what he thinks. And the event manager who organized this for birthday boy's party forgot to tell him that Project Cheetah was started under the Congress regime. And it was because of curbs by the Supreme Court that it got delayed. And what is Narendra Modi saying? That nothing has been done for the last 70 years. He has this habit of taking credit for anything and everything that happens in India. It has become sort of ridiculous now. And he forgets that when he takes credit and mocks his predecessors, that includes Vajpayee ji also. Why is he doing that? Is he ill-informed? Or he expects that his Andhbhakts will believe him and will be unwilling to believe the right facts when they are told? It's unbecoming of a Prime Minister to refuse to accept that there is a continuity in governance.
Yeah.
And a project which may have been started, which was started in 2008 and 9, was restricted by a Supreme Court ban. And today he has taken it to its logical end.
So,
fine, good. No harm in having those social media pictures. But why does he have to bring politics into everything? That's the tamasha.
Now, you've asked a question and you've answered your question. You said he's also blaming Vajpayee, but the Congress party itself has said from 2009 this program has been on. So, he can't really blame Vajpayee. He hasn't blamed Vajpayee there. But I saw Sumant raising his hand. Okay, Sumant, you come in and then I'll hand it over to the BJP spokesperson.
Niranjan, let's first understand. Yeah, this is basically a very careful experiment which is being conducted. In 2012, the Honorable Supreme Court issued a stay on Project Cheetah simply because they were not very sure whether the cheetahs transplanted from African cheetahs transplanted to India would be able to thrive. Even in 2020, the Honorable Supreme Court was still not willing to be 100% sure, which is why they told the Tiger Foundation. Along with that, they formed an expert committee and said, you have to monitor this very, very carefully. So I think that the Prime Minister, I'm not too sure how this is going to look if the cheetahs don't thrive in this new environment a few months down the line. But then again, the media will not cover such events. I mean, today was a photo op, and the photo op was basically, carried out with full national media. This is, releasing the cheetahs by, opening the cage Normally, these things are done by forest officers in in these forest reserves. For the Prime Minister of the country, I think, well, it was his birthday, so I think we will cut him some slack on that particular, on wanting to be seen as releasing the opening the cage and releasing the cheetahs in their new environment.
Yeah.
But let's be very clear, this project started in 2009, was stayed by the Honorable Supreme Court in 2013. That stay has been vacated, and therefore it has been made possible. And even now, it has been made possible with very strict monitoring conditions. It is, for all practical purposes, an experiment. And I think that it is extremely unwise to be jumping the gun and claiming too much of credit until we are very sure that the cheetahs are going to thrive in this environment. We don't know that at this point of time, and it will not look very good if they don't thrive after a few months or a year's time.
Okay, premature celebration is what Sumant is trying to hint at. But I just want to add one point before I hand it over to, because I found it very interesting, Tuhin, going through the entire detailing of, let's go back to the pictures, because I want to show the pictures of how these cheetahs were brought in. A lot of people are interested in looking at the pictures, because we all grew up and we were taught in school that cheetahs have gone extinct for this reason and that reason. Let's go back to the pictures full frame. And I want to show you and tell you a little bit about the exercise involved in getting these cheetahs back. It's been a 10-hour journey. The plane in which they were brought back was a modified Boeing 747. It carried 8 cheetahs from Namibia. The flight from Gwalior, the chopper used, there were 2 IAF choppers that were used from Gwalior. That was a 25-minute flight. They were flown to about 160 kilometers from the Kuno National Park. And before the flight, these animals were treated with a tranquilizer. And during the flight, which was roughly about 10 hours, these cheetahs remained without food during the transcontinental journey. And the new home, of course, will be the Kuno National Park, spread across more than 700 square kilometers. There are siblings, 2 cheetah siblings, by the way. 2 of them imported from Namibia, siblings. And they will be back into the wild after 5 months, because they will stay a month in quarantine, 4 months in acclimatization and closure, after which they will go back into the wild. Interesting. Very interesting. Did the Prime Minister jump the gun, is what they're trying to ask you. Let me hand it over to Tuhin. Tuhin, you want to respond to both Ashutosh?
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Hi.
Ranjan, I think the opposition is facing a very desperate identity crisis, and today they are not willing to spare even cheetahs from their dirty politics. So while the Congress is claiming credit, Akhilesh Yadav has gone a step ahead, and with a very, very sly comment on Twitter, which says, "Sabko intezar tha dahar ka, par ye to nikla billi mausi ke parivar ka." So this is the standard of India's opposition. Now, let me tell you, these people are pointing out, they are trying to blame the Honorable Supreme Court. The reason why the Supreme Court had quashed the plan at that point of time was because it was totally misconceived. Those were the words used in one of the arguments. And why it was misconceived was because of the ill-conceived cohabitation cohabitation between the Gir lions of Gir forest and the cheetahs into the new habitat at where they've been planted now. So this was supposed to have led to, or it was feared that this would have led to an epidemic situation endangering the Gir lion population in India. That was the real reason they wanted the Congress government of the time to get the National Board of Wildlife into the entire plan. So I think the Congress government had not done the homework. And in fact, Jairam Ramesh, what he had done in 2008-89 by getting those pictures clicked with the cheetah, that was a publicity stunt.
No, that was not tamasha. How dare you call that tamasha? No, that was not tamasha. How can you call it tamasha?
Tamasha is what is happening in Kerala, where they're beating up vegetable vendors. They're extorting money for not participating in Bharat.
No, but they're accusing you. 1 minute. They're saying you're doing this cheetah business to distract from Bharat Jodo Yatra. They're saying that you're doing all of this cheetah business because you don't want Rahul Gandhi to steal the limelight with Bharat Jodo. Suman, okay. I saw you, Suman. You want to respond? Okay. Suman,
Can I come in?
Yes, Suman.
He is not.
And I'll come to
He is
Karan.
not answering the Niranjan. He is not answering the fundamental question. This is an experiment. We do not know the success of the experiment, and on day one of the experiment, the Prime Minister is taking the credit for this initiative. I sincerely hope that the experiment succeeds and the Cheetahs thrive. But let's be very clear. Let's be very clear.
It was because of the efforts of Honorable Prime Minister that this has happened. So why should he not be there at the historic moment?
It's not because of the court, is it?
Can I come in, Nilanjan?
Supreme Court I thought that the Supreme Court had given orders for the formation of an expert committee to work out the modalities and the exact environment in which these cheetahs should be kept, and the entire directions came from the Honorable Court. Now, it's all very well to say that the government took the initiative. The previous government also took the initiative. The point is very clear that we do not know at this point of time.
Yes, Karan, you're coming in next, yeah.
Perhaps we may be taking a bigger risk than perhaps the UPA government was willing to take with the lives of these cheetahs. Simple. Of course, the media is not going to cover, should, God forbid, things not go very well for these animals. That is not going to be national headlines.
No, of course it will be a headline, national headline. That's why we're talking about it in great detail. No, of course it will be. Come on, Sumant, we will be.
It will be a small.
Not at all.
Somewhere.
I think to be fair to just 10 seconds, I think to be fair to Sumant Raman, he's just 10 seconds to be fair to Sumant C. Raman, he's trying to rationalize the ill-conceived arguments of Congress, but the Congress really did not raise the point with Sumant C. Raman. Let us be very clear, the Congress deserves no credit for what has happened today.
Niranjan, I just want to bring this into perspective. This was started, as Jairam Ramesh says, it was started by me back in 2010. Now let me read out two statements which Mr. Jairam Ramesh made back in the day. In 2012, he admitted his government's failure in the Sariska project, where there were mysterious deaths and a total disaster of a tiger conservation project. And he said these words, and I'm quoting him, "I admit to my government's failure in administration and governance of the Sariska project." Then, at that time, he was the environmental minister, Niranjan. Then in 2013, he again admits his failures. At that time, he was the rural development minister, and he says, "I admit our failure in the complete sanitation where 2/3 have to openly defecate in India." The fact is, this man keeps making failures after failures. He's typically symptomatic of what Congress is. They make blunders and then they say, "Oh, this was our idea." Just as
he's not trying to bluff his way through.
I did not interrupt when you were speaking. Please let me complete my point.
Sir, I'm just saying he's not trying to bluff his way through.
He's admitting his failure.
He's not trying to bluff his way through. At least he's being honest to admit his failures instead of claiming everything is hunky-dory.
But we don't want failures in the government, sir. We want people to deliver, just as Prime Minister has delivered today. Coming up and saying this was our idea, just as they claimed GST was our idea, sanitation was our idea, but they could not do a thing about it. Mr. Modi made it possible that everybody has a bank account. They said, "Oh, we will nationalize banks, everybody will have a bank account." That never happened for 70 years. They said people will not defecate in the open. They did not do it. Prime Minister did it. They said every house will have a gas connection. That never happened all these years. So the truth of the matter is, you can't just claim a copyright on any idea when you are admitting to your failures, as Jairam Ramesh has time and again. You have to hand it over to the Prime Minister who made it possible. You need to have intent.
How many of them got a refill,
to deliver.
Niranjan.
No, I'm just handing out. Yeah, I just want to make a point and I'm handing it to you because I just got a stat here. Oh, by the way, before I hand it over to you, very interesting because, the BJP spokesperson just mentioned what Akhilesh Yadav had said. Almost instantly, a soundbite just came into our newsroom. Here's what the Prime Minister said a few minutes back. In fact, we were on the Ram Jethmalani Memorial Lecture, so we couldn't cut across to this speech. But he's responded almost to the opposition. Take a guess who he was referring to when he said this. Let's play out the soundbite. Just listen into this carefully.
और देश बदल रहा है जी। एक समय था हम कबूतर उड़ा छोड़ते थे, आज चीता छोड़ते हैं और देश बदल रहा है जी। एक समय था हम कबूतर उड़ा छोड़ते थे, आज चीता छोड़ते हैं।
I'll bring in the Ashutosh and the BJP spokesperson on this one. Ashutosh and Tuhin.
So now, why the previous speaker was finding it amazing that, or rather ridiculed Ramesh for accepting mistakes, is that doesn't happen with Modi. You remember Modi went abroad and said all the villages in India have electricity, when in fact the village of our current president had got electricity after that. The same is true for defecation. There are reports that nearly 24% are still defecating in the open. All this happens on
66% is open defecation.
One has yet to find a single celebrity where Modi has not castigated his predecessors and claimed credit for their achievements.
We are not fine with celebrating failures.
Expert.
You might be happy with it. We demand governance and we demand accountability. We demand delivery.
He will keep heckling.
No, I request not to speak over each other. Let him complete his point, Karan. Karan, let him complete his point. Karan, let him complete his point. I'll come to you. Let him complete his point. Complete your point.
No, he has to heckle me because he doesn't have stats to support all the lies that he was just spouting. I have pointed out how Modi has been caught lying in open in foreign country, and the same about this defecation thing. And in Cheetah project also, one may ask him that what had stopped him for all these years from going to Supreme Court and bringing the Cheetahs?
Yeah.
Because the restriction was posed in 2012, 2013, and Modi has been there since 2014. Modi ji regularly and constantly for the past 8 years tries to divert attention from the problems faced by the common man and talks about his high-flying ideas. So he will talk about Kabutar and Cheetah. He will make that comparison because that sounds very nice in a closed setting where people will laugh at this sort of comparison. The pigeon or the Kabutar is sign of peace. Something which obviously Narendra Modi and his government does not like. That is very clear. And the Cheetah represents cruelty, hunting.
That's
why maybe he identifies with
Niranjan, it's a fact the opposition is in a time warp. They think it's a great virtue to glorify their failures. They think it's a great virtue to accept their failures. But why do you need to accept the failures when the world knows about your failures? Today you are disputing the claim of 100% sanitation cover. Today you are disputing the claims of 100% electrification of villages, which means you don't travel enough across the country.
Check on Google. Anybody
You should travel across the country.
Okay, speaking about stats, 1 minute. Okay, can we speak on stats? Can we? Yeah. Okay, actually let me go. Suman, you can take this. And I'll let Karan come in. My question to you, Suman.
Niranjan.
Facts. Wait. I'll throw a question. You can add whatever you want to say to that, right? So, because Ashutosh said, let's debate on facts, you're right. We should only debate on facts. See, in 2013, because we were talking about how, from 2009, these efforts were on, etc. 2009, sorry. In 2013, what else happened, Sumant? The UPA government allocated 351 crore for SPG security. SPG security only to guard VIPs. Guess how much they allocated to biodiversity conservation? I'll tell you.
Why don't you tell
me? I'll tell you.
Why don't you tell me?
I'll tell you because I'm just doing a comparison for debate's sake. For debate's sake, 351 for SPG security, 273 crore for biodiversity conservation. Only 273 versus 351 crore, right? Fact or not?
State governments are also spending money on biodiversity. They are also spending money. There is budgets which are allocated in every state, but the point is not that. I think it is far better.
Isn't the point about also priorities?
To your failures. No. 1 second. It is far better to own up and accept your failures than to try to bluff your way with alternate facts and post-truth. I think that new India, to a large extent, is now built around this illusion of what is really true. And I think Ashutosh pointed out certain examples, whether it is on open defecation. I think Karan was the one who brought in gas cylinders. So how many refills have actually been issued for all those people who have received gas cylinders, with the prices having gone up from 480 rupees to over 1,000 rupees now? So I think that these are questions which are relevant. And it's, if somebody actually, especially a politician, puts his hand up and says, yes, I did 10 things and a couple of them I did mess up, I think that that's something that should be appreciated, instead of trying to take the common approach which most politicians would take, is to bluff their way through.
But very disappointed.
And say that everything is hunky-dory.
No, I'm very disappointed also because, both Ashutosh and Sumant. No, 1 minute. I need to make a point. I'm very disappointed because we decided we'll talk on facts. I gave you a fact. None of you here mentioned that the MOU, Sumant or Ashutosh, neither of you mentioned that the MOU that was signed between India and Namibia was in July 2022. It was in July 2022. You can Google it. This is not post-truth. This is not, I didn't just make that up.
Obviously,
MOU was in July 2022.
Given the clearance, how can you sign it?
The ban is lifted and the ban was lifted in 2020.
You can only sign it after the court allows it. Come on, Niranjan, what is this? Common sense. You can only sign up after the court has allowed you to sign up. How can you sign it when there is a stay in the court? I mean, I honestly don't understand this logic at all, Niranjan. There must be some logic somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't see it. The court has to give with clearance.
Yes.
After the court gives clearance, you can sign.
Karan is responding. Yes, Karan.
Nilanjan, both the panelists, Mr. Suman and Mr. Ashutosh, they talked about post-truths, alternate facts. You pick up any metric, sir. You might be happy with the failures, with open admission of failures. We, the new India, is not happy. You pick up any parameter, whether it is gas connection, whether it is gas connection, whether it is number of houses built. Let me speak. I'm talking about common man issues. You spoke about common man issues. Whether it is number of toilets built, whether it is number of toilets built, whether it is roads constructed. Now you have to let me speak. You can't heckle like this. I did not speak when you were speaking. Whether it is number of houses built, whether it is number of gas connections, whether it is kilometers of roads, whether it is number of houses electrified, you pick up any metric, you will find 2 times the delivery of the UPA years. And you know that heart of hearts. You may argue whether it is 80% or 85%.
GDP growth,
GDP,
unemployment, economy, unemployment, economy,
You've had
GDP
many.
growth.
You've had a pandemic. You've had global crisis, and even by that standard, the GDP of the last month, the figures 13% growth.
GDP
so let's
growth
not
before
go there.
Pandemic.
The fact is, you don't have a point. You are happy with admission of failures.
Before pandemic, tell me GDP growth.
Tell
me 2019 GDP growth.
The cheetahs are not going to go extinct with your mentality. The Congress is going to go extinct.
Tell me
you
GDP
be ready
growth
for
before
extinction
pandemic.
of Congress. 13% growth, I'm telling you. Don't you have the numbers? What are the prospects? Compare it in the context of the world.
14 to 22
Double-digit inflation for
14.
22 months under UPA. 22 months.
13%
on
13% was below the expected 15%. And that was because on a lower basis, you are comparing it to a lower base. You are again speaking lies by spouting half-truths.
14% is because of what happened last year, sir.
You are mishandling.
13% is because of what happened last year.
Don't accept that figure. You hide those figures. The people who died because of misgovernance of Narendra Modi. That is the problem. New India is not susceptible or will not accept these half truths. You may accept those lies and
go back to those years.
No, 1 minute. Speaking about New India. So 1 minute. Speaking about last 5 minutes on the debate. Last 5 minutes on the debate. I'll try and get everybody on. 1 minute. Last 5 minutes on the debate. No. 1 minute. No. Last 5 minutes on the debate. Let me get all the panelists once. The debate was basically on the Congress party trying to claim credit. Now, they say that it's a 2009-2010 project, right? I'll give you 4 or 5 examples and then Tuhin can debate this with Ashutosh, okay? On the booster dose, when India introduced the booster dose, last 5 minutes, Rahul Gandhi claimed that the government stole his idea. The same Rahul Gandhi who questioned India's vaccine program called it his idea. 1 minute. On Ram Mandir, believe it or not, on Ram Mandir, the Congress and its units across the country, 3 or 4 units, actually credited Rajiv Gandhi for Ram Mandir and then deleted the tweet. You can check this. We reported it. On INS Vikrant, yes, you can't completely discredit or not share credit. The Congress claimed credit there as well, saying that they actually made it happen. On the RCEP, the irony, RCEP deal, Congress claimed credit for India snubbing the RCEP deal when historically you go back and check and you will see how much the Congress tried to help the RCEP deal in the first place. On the GST rate cut, the Congress also then claimed credit, I think it was P. Chidambaram, for a move that happened in 2017. Now, it's a problem of both sides trying to claim credit, Sumant. It's not one side, but both sides try to claim credit, and that's what politicians do, try to claim credit, isn't it? But
look,
yeah,
Niranjan, governance is a matter of continuity.
Yeah.
Governance is not something that stops on a particular day. It is a continuous process. In India, projects take years and years to get delivered. Governments change. The next government carries on the good work done by the previous government and corrects the mistakes that the previous government must have made. That is how it has been in virtually every country, and that is how it has been in India. And I don't think Mr. Vajpayee, during his time, ever shied away from giving credit to previous governments. I think that this whole thing is a post-2014 phenomena where all the ills of this country which have happened. And by the way, when you keep saying 70 years, you're also casting aspersions on the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government, which actually was statesman-like. Mr. Vajpayee was never shy of giving credit where it was due. Despite significant political differences, he never tried to claim all the credit for himself, never tried to decry the Congress party or wherever credit was due to them. The Congress did make many mistakes, there is no doubt, which is why they are where they are today politically. But that doesn't mean that they did nothing. And to say that they deserve no credit at all and everything is, India started only from 2014 is basically an extension of the same post-truth and alternate facts which have characterized New India over the last few years.
Yeah, okay, I'll give Tuhin the last word. Now, Tuhin, see, yeah. Okay, Tuhin, make your point, and I'll give Ashutosh. Ashutosh, I'll come to you. I'll come to Ashutosh. Yeah,
I'm waiting for the day when the Congress party would claim credit for the Balakot strike and for the abrogation of Article 370, but with that they will not, because that will go against their myopic appeasement politics. I wish they claim credit for that as well. But the point is, if they continue to be in denial of the transformation which India has witnessed in the last 8 years, it is their choice. The Janta of this country, the people of this country will in turn be in denial of their existence, which is what the state of affairs today is. So it is their choice. If they don't acknowledge the way the country is transformed, the people of this country will not transform their existence. But last but not the least, my humble request to the opposition is at least spare cheetahs, spare animals from your myopic politics. We can discuss about the other issues which you have raised about economy, where we have good, enough to corner your ineffective policies. But let's spare the cheetahs today. It's a great moment in India's history in terms of conservation. Okay. Let's celebrate that.
Yeah. And there should be continuity in that as well. I mean, in conserving the cheetah program. Ashutosh, last word to you, and then I'll end the debate.
Narendra Modi is echoing Kangana Ranaut's tagline that India achieved real freedom in 2014. The only credit that can be given to him and him only is the wildlife that we find in Indian politics today. And we see all those tamasha going around. So that's the only wildlife, and that's the only credit which solely goes to Narendra Modi of all the wildlife that has infiltrated Indian politics. Otherwise, he should learn to respect his previous governments and give them due credit. Everybody makes mistake. The thing is, Narendra Modi refuses to accept that he has made a mistake, whether it be demonetization or during COVID. He will never accept it, and I don't know why people say this, but I don't think New India will forgive him for this.
Okay, Karan, you want to respond to that? I'll end on that note.
You know,
Okay.
New India has in fact given him bigger mandates. So when you say New India has not forgiven him, well, they wish him all the luck and they give him more power to serve them. Now you can cry all you want, but the truth is, people have given him bigger mandates, and today is his birthday. We all, the entire nation, wishes him more power and more luck in serving India.
Okay.
Or communal divide and rule, or false allegations against the
I don't know about the Cheetah.
Okay, leaving it. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Karan Ashutosh, thank you for joining us. Tuhin, just a few facts, because we decided to debate on facts. In 2006, the tiger population in India was 1,411. 2010, it was 1,700. 4 years later, in 2014, it was roughly around 2,200, and today it's nearly 3,000. Does that tell you something? Maybe the facts are in the figures. Let's thank our panelists and tracking the story closely. Thank you for watching us on The Burning Question.
Fulfill your dream of studying at the world's leading universities, and that too at a reduced cost with Amity's Global Study Program. Study in India with Amity for some years. Then take a transfer to leading universities in the USA, UK, Canada or Australia and earn a foreign university degree. Apply at amity.edu/global study.
भारत की भूमि से 2024 तक कुछ भी हो, we will create a global news organization from the soil of India.
जो राष्ट्रीय चैनल वो क्षेत्रीय और अंतरराष्ट्रीय बिल्कुल दोनों दिशा में आगे बढ़ रहे हैं. You may be one of the channels which is a national channel going regional and international both at the same time. My best wishes to you and your group.
आपको सीए से प्रॉब्लम क्यों नहीं है? आसाम के लोगों के लिए बांग्लादेश के लोगों का आना वो इशू था, यानी कि विदेशियों का आना इशू था, ये नहीं कि वो हिंदू है कि मुसलमान है.
वर्ल्ड में विश्व में जहां में भी हिंदू है, भारत उनका जननी है, भारत उनका जन्मभूमि है जी. एंड इफ यू आस्क हिंदू नॉट टू कम टू इंडिया, वेयर दे विल गो? सो भारत का ऐतिहासिक दायित्व है, जो अखंड भारत में हिंदू रहता था, you cannot term them as a Pakistani and Bangladeshi. They are Hindu, they are proud Hindu. They are India.
The most renowned speakers, the most acclaimed legal eagles, the most distinguished academicians, and the biggest newsmakers come together on the most esteemed stage. Watch the unmissable Ram Jethmalani Memorial Lecture on September 17th only on Republic TV.
नेशनलिज्म की कितनी जरूरत? नरेंद्र मोदी के प्रधान
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us here on Republic TV. As the Prime Minister celebrates his birthday, the country's sporting personalities had a special message for the Prime Minister as he turns 72. Now, hailing his contribution to Indian sports and a special bond that the Prime Minister shares with our athletes.
As Prime Minister Modi turns 72 today, sporting fraternity wishes him a long and healthy life. Walking down the memory lane, one remembers how he motivated our Olympic athletes as they took off for Rio 2016.
मैं माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी से ओलंपिक में जाने से पहले हम लोग मिले थे. 2016 ओलंपिक जो रियो में था, उससे पहले हम सब खिलाड़ियों को हमें प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बुलाया था लंच के ऊपर और हम सब लोग से इंटरेक्ट किया, उन्होंने बातचीत की. हमें खुद बिलीव नहीं था कि मतलब ओलंपिक में जाने से पहले कोई प्रधानमंत्री खिलाड़ियों को ऐसे बुला के उनसे ऐसे बातचीत करेंगे.
and toasted to the success of India's athletes on National Sports Day that year. And as India bagged 7 medals at the Tokyo Olympics 2020, with India's javelin ace, Neeraj Chopra stealing the gold. Prime Minister was all in smiles as he rolled the carpet on their return.
जब हम ओलंपिक से खेल के आए थे और सभी एथलीट्स को और उनके स्पोर्टिंग स्टाफ को उन्होंने मिलने बुलाया था, तब ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं लग रहा था कि हम देश के पीएम से बात कर रहे हैं या गुजरात के सीएम से बात कर रहे हैं। बिल्कुल सभी से उन्होंने सिंगल पर्सन से जितने भी थे वहाँ पे सबसे बहुत अच्छे से बात की। सभी के बारे में उनको पर्सनल पता था कि कौन क्या करता है और जाने से पहले किसने क्या बोला था, तो वो बहुत ही एक अच्छी बात लगी।
और उनके आने के बाद स्पोर्ट्स में बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट भी हुई है। हम इतने साल से यहाँ लखनऊ में हैं, मतलब आप विश्वास नहीं करोगे, मैंने अपनी आंखों के आगे इतना ड्रास्टिक चेंजेस देखे हैं। फैसिलिटीज़, सुविधाएं, फूड है, साइकोलॉजिस्ट है या न्यूट्रिशन के बारे में कोई है, तो बहुत ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट मैंने देखी है, जिसकी वजह से हमारी लड़कियाँ बहुत ज़्यादा मेडल्स ला रही हैं और बहुत ज़्यादा लड़कियों में इंटरेस्ट पैदा हुआ है।
मोदी जी से पहली बार मिलने के बाद उनकी बहुत सारी चीज़ें अच्छी लगी। पहली तो ये कि वो बहुत फ्रैंकली थे सबके साथ नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन पूछताछ कर रहे थे, मतलब एक फ्रेंड की तरह सबसे बातचीत कर रहे थे। सबके साथ उन्होंने बैठ के खाया, मतलब बहुत सारा टाइम था उन्होंने जो प्लेयर्स के साथ एक्सपेंड किया और उन्होंने सबके बारे में जानने की कोशिश की।
And who can forget Prime Minister's candid interaction with the Indian contingent of Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games at his residence?
कहीं ना कहीं मेरे अंदर एक रिटायर होने की भावना जगने लगी थी, लेकिन आदरणीय मोदी जी के जो जोश भरे शब्द थे और जो वो मेरा उदाहरण बार बार मन की बात में पूरे देश को, युवाओं को देते थे, तो कहीं ना कहीं वो मेरी प्रेरणा बनी। रिटायरमेंट का ख्याल बिल्कुल दिमाग से चला गया।
Ahead of India's Independence Day, he met India's Commonwealth Games winners, who had done the nation proud with a spectacular tally of 61 medals.
जब मैं मेडल जीती थी तो उस टाइम की मैं बात करूं तो सर के वहाँ से ऑफिस से बहुत बार कॉल आ गए थे, मेडल सेरेमनी होने वाला था। तो उस टाइम ऐसा टाइम था कि सर खुद वेट करके मतलब हमसे बात करने के लिए वेट कर रहे थे। तो वो मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात हो गई कि हमारे पीएम सर एथलीट्स के साथ बातें करने के लिए इतना वेट कर रहे हैं, वो भी एक्साइटेड है।
Under Prime Minister's leadership, various schemes were launched for sportspersons, from launching the Target Olympic Podium scheme in 2015, Khelo India scheme in 2016, the Sports Talent Search Portal in 2017, to launching the Fit India movement in 2019.
और जो अंतर्राष्ट्रीय खिलाड़ी होते हैं उनके लिए उन्होंने कहा कि आप इनकी ट्रेनिंग का पैसा देते हो, कोचिंग का, खाने पीने का सबका पैसा देते हो, ट्रैवलिंग का पैसा देते हो, लेकिन इनकी जेब खर्च का पैसा कौन देगा? तो हमने भी सोचा कि ये तो हमने कभी सोचा ही नहीं। तो उन्होंने कहा कि आप 50,000 रुपये इनको प्रति माह देना शुरू करिए। तो जो टॉप्स के खिलाड़ी हैं, तकरीबन 201 खिलाड़ी होते हैं, उन्हें हमने 50,000 रुपये प्रति माह उनको पॉकेट अलाउंस देना शुरू करा।
ओलंपिक्स के बाद भी मिले थे और अभी कॉमनवेल्थ के बाद भी, तो उनको देखते सामने तो ऐसे मतलब एक अंदर से जोश आ जाता है कि उनका जो मतलब जो ये बोलते हैं, उनका एक मोटिवेशन का जो ये मिलता है हमें, तो मतलब अंदर से एक ये आ जाता है कि नहीं अभी हमें कुछ करना है अगले। पहले हम ओलंपिक्स से पहले मतलब जब अच्छा नहीं किया था ओलंपिक्स में, लेकिन उनका जो ये था हमारे लिए, उनके वर्ड्स थे, वो मतलब इतना मोटिवेशन मिला कि नहीं हमें जीतना है।
Pulela Gopi Chand recalled meeting Prime Minister Modi after winning the Olympic award for Coach of the Year.
I remember this time when I won the International Olympic Award for being the Coach of the Year.
I asked him for a permission to meet him. And Thak, I get this sir said 9 o'clock in the morning you can come. And then at 9 he's there, and I was shocked that somebody could ever be like that.
Today, he holds a special place in the hearts and minds of India's sportspersons as they wish him on his 72nd birthday.
Fulfill your dream of studying at the world's leading universities, and that too at a reduced cost with Amity's Global Study Program. Study in India with Amity for some years. Then take a transfer to leading universities in the USA, UK, Canada or Australia and earn a foreign university degree. Apply at amity.edu/globalstudy.
The most renowned speakers, the most acclaimed legal eagles, the most distinguished academicians, and the biggest newsmakers come together on the most esteemed stage. Watch the unmissable Ram Jethmalani Memorial Lecture on September 17th only on Republic TV.
नेशनलिज्म की कितनी जरूरत है? नरेंद्र मोदी के प्रधानमंत्री बनने के बाद किसी को राष्ट्रवादी होना चाहिए, ऐसी डिबेट्स हमारी जो एक सो कॉल्ड स्यूडो इंटेलेक्चुअल अरीना में ये क्यों शुरू हुई?
हर घर तिरंगा का जो पर्व मनाया गया कितना अच्छा लगा। अगर आप अपने देश का गर्व नहीं करेंगे या अपने झंडे के ऊपर गर्व नहीं करेंगे या अपने नेशनलिस्ट होने का गर्व नहीं करेंगे तो आपका जो एग्जिस्टेंस है उसको ही क्वेश्चनेबल है। आई हैव ट्रैवल्ड ऑलमोस्ट एवरी कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड एंड आई एम प्राउडली सेइंग दैट वी नीड टू बी प्राउड दैट वी आर इंडियंस।
For this year's third edition of the Ram Jethmalani Memorial Series, the topic we have chosen is, has the need for a uniform civil code become an imperative today? Mr. Jethmalani felt very passionately about this issue and had written several articles. He was an ardent believer that the issue promoted both social harmony and indeed promoted nationalism as well.
Watch the unmissable Ram Jethmalani Memorial Lecture on September 17th only on Republic TV.
There's a very famous saying in Pakistani Punjab, Khanda Pita Laheda, Baki Ahmad Shahida. Whatever you eat is yours, and everything else, including the clothes on your body, belong to.
Welcome back as greetings pour in for the Prime Minister as he turns 72. The former ISRO chief K. Sivan, who shared a very special bond with the Prime Minister, he recollects how the Prime Minister gave him a shoulder of support after Chandrayaan-2 and how the Prime Minister wants India's space program to be the best in the world.
India has come a long way in its space story. Prime Minister Modi's space appetite was testament to launching India's ambitious mission, the Chandrayaan-2 in 2019. If successful, could put India in League of Nations to land on the moon. But as luck would have it, ISRO lost contact with Vikram lander and it crashed on the moon's surface due to the last-minute technical glitch. Taking disappointment in his stride, Prime Minister Modi motivated the scientists at ISRO and even landing a shoulder of support to former ISRO chief K. Sivan, who was seemingly inconsolable after the failure of the mission. On his 72nd birthday, former ISRO chief K. Sivan shared what he felt that day.
I told him, sir, I could not meet, unfortunately, the aspirations of 130 crore Indians. When I told that one, I broke down. And by seeing me that I broke down, when he hugged, not only hugging, he was in the back, he was rubbing, and genuinely happy. But he never spoke any word. And he was continuing that one. He understood my feeling just by touching. Just by touching, he understood my feeling.
Hailing Prime Minister Modi's shoulder of support, former ISRO chief said that he felt as if the entire India was hugging him.
I felt when he was hugging and consoling, I felt the entire Bharat is hugging me and consoling me. That feeling it was going.
As India forges ahead under Prime Minister's leadership, who aims in increasing India's share in the global space industry by also wooing the private sector, scientists all over India continue to heap praises on Prime Minister Modi, the visionary. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
For this year's third edition of the Ram Jetmalani Memorial Series, the topic we have chosen is, has the need for a uniform civil code become an imperative today? Mr. Jetmalani felt very passionately about this issue and had written several articles. He was an ardent believer that the issue promoted both social harmony and indeed promoted nationalism as well.
Watch the unmissable Ram Jetmalani Memorial Lecture on September 17th only on Republic TV.
There's a very famous saying in Pakistani Punjab, Khanda Pida Laheda, Baki Ahmad Shahida. Whatever you eat is yours, and everything else, including the clothes on your body, belong to Ahmad Shah. This is the truth of what the invaders did. But Pakistanis would celebrate those invasions because that is what they wish to be, is something that has deeply scarred the Pakistani mindset, not knowing who they are, not knowing where they are going. Any society, any nation without a compass, without a sense of direction is bound to fail.
The third edition of Ram Jetmalani Memorial Lecture Series. Has the need for a uniform civil code become imperative today? Honorable guest speakers Shri Arif Muhammad Khan, Justice Kurian Joseph, Shrimati Madhavi Goradia Diwan, Shri Asaduddin Owaisi, Shri Baijayant Jay Panda, Shri Faizan Mustafa. The third edition of Ram Jetmalani Memorial Lecture Series, 17th September from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. only on Republic TV.
भारत की भूमि से 2024 तक कुछ भी हो, we will create a global news organization from the soil of India.
जो राष्ट्रीय चैनल वो क्षेत्रीय और अंतरराष्ट्रीय बिल्कुल दोनों दिशा में आगे बढ़ दोनों दिशा. You may be one of the channels which is a
स्वाहा